Hi everyone, welcome to the 6th episode of Truth in Tech, which means we've been doing it for over a month, which is kind of cool. Yes. Let's see. So as usual, we start off the show with two local stories, one in New York and one in Boston. And my Boston story this week is that the New York Times just announced they were launching a digital incubator called TimeSpace. They're looking for 3 to 5 companies to work alongside the newsroom for 4 months and work partially independently on their products and also teach some of their skills to the newsroom and exchange ideas. But one of the cool things is that the companies involved won't have to give up any equity, which is sort of unusual for an incubator. But it's a little ironic because maybe not ironic, but the Times just let go. They just had a big round of buyouts last week and the week before, I think. Really top editors at the paper left because of financial constraints. So there's been some grumblings from, the journalists being like, why are you spending money on this instead of spending money on us? But I think it could be pretty cool. The New York Times' digital department is already pretty well respected. They have a really awesome interactive team that did a lot of cool maps during the election. They do a lot of cool data visualization stuff. So I think that the companies working alongside them could be really beneficial to that department. But I guess we'll see. The applications are due the 19th of February for anyone interested in applying. That's
coming up.
I know. They just announced it, so I guess you only have a couple weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's my New York story. What's going on in Boston?
So, I guess appropriately for the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, in Boston, Harvard Medical School was just awarded $100 million by the NFL Players Association.
Whoa.
To study football injuries. So, they said the goal of the program is to improve the health and well-being of NFL players while further elucidating the risks of participation in American football. So, they said the research is going to be directed in a few areas because, concussions are a pretty big part of the game.
Yeah.
So they're looking to study those and the effects on the brain and personalities. And also the treatment for ACL injuries.
Okay.
And doing more with looking at, I think it's imaging with heart function. So
interesting. I wonder, if this is maybe silly coming from me because I know nothing about football, but could their findings have implications on some of the rules of the game? Or
that's
maybe.
A good question.
Well, I don't really have anything related to that.
No segue. Next story.
But let's see. Next story that I have is my favorite supercomputer, Watson, who you maybe would remember just got the Urban Dictionary expunged from his lexicon, is now going to the RPI's campus, where he's going to improve his mathematical ability and help and figure out the meaning of new or made-up words. So I guess a college campus is a good place to learn new or made-up words.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and yeah, I think Sam is an RPI alum, right? Or
Um,
Sam,
yeah,
yeah,
I think you're right.
yeah,
One of our developers here.
yeah. So I'm jealous. I don't think NYU has Watson coming anytime soon. Yeah, that's my supercomputer story of the week.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, Watson's pretty sweet. Next story is that's gonna be the theme today. No
Yeah.
segues. We're just gonna go
No.
story by story.
Yes.
So, jumping around, Google Maps, they added more detail to North Korea. So, North Korea had been an area that wasn't really fleshed out within Google Maps at all. I think it had to do with some kind of like restrictions.
Yeah, the North Korean government doesn't give out any cartography information. I think is what it is.
Yeah. So they had one article ahead kind of hinted that it had something to do with Eric Schmidt, who is the Google exec.
Because he just went there.
Yes, he visited North Korea, and then 3 weeks later, the information about North Korea was added to Google Maps. Although a representative from Google denied this, saying that it was unrelated. So,
I mean, I guess technically I don't know how, like his trip was so supervised that I don't know how he would have been able to map the whole country or anything, but
yeah,
I feel like the timing must have been somewhat planned.
yes. I think the article had also mentioned that they had, collected data from other sources of people that had visited and
Yeah,
um,
citizen
amalgamated all of that.
photographers.
Hmm.
And maybe like he got more permission from them while he was there.
Yeah, I think they hinted at that, yes.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. For my next story, so BlackBerry, which Soft Artisans used to actually be a partner. We used to do a partner meetup in Boston with BlackBerry, but we don't do it anymore. They launched their new phone, the Z10. They're also, it's not called Research in Motion anymore. It's just called BlackBerry. And they had Alicia Keys at the launch, which makes a lot of sense. Kidding, makes no sense.
I was going to say, maybe.
Yeah, and what else? Let's see,
Just to
feature
attract a lot of
wise,
attention.
yeah, I guess they said that she's the new creative director. I don't know what that involves, but anyways, the
For BlackBerry?
phone, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. um, there was like a good article in Pando Daily this morning about how tech companies should really not hire celebrity spokespeople, but if they do, like a guide for the celebrities involved is basically like, don't tweet from an iPhone if you're promoting a BlackBerry and like those sort of easily findable things.
Yes, things that are commonly overlooked.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. So the phone, which is coming out sometime in March, they didn't have a firm release date, is going to rely on a virtual keyboard that gets better as you hit the key, like learns from your errors as you hit the keys. So it has, I guess, a personalized spell check type of a thing. And it lets you check applications while you're in, like if you're in Twitter, you can like check your email without exiting Twitter. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, but investors were not too happy that shares went down 20% in the last 24 hours. After, yeah. I think mostly because they didn't have a firm launch date, and then the cost is between $150 and $200, which is a lot more than the average Android phone. So people are like, not particularly bullish on the new BlackBerry.
Microsoft had a launch as well.
Yes.
There's a segue for you.
There you go.
Microsoft launched Office 365 Home Premium.
Which is not the same as Office 365, right?
Right. Well, it's basically Office 2013.
Right, okay.
So they just named it confusingly.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure the meaning behind the name. But apparently it comes on a subscription basis. So this is like, so you can pay month to month or over a year and like install, Microsoft Office, all the cool Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all that. You can install it on up to 5 devices.
It's like iTunes or something?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And it says that you also they're including 20 gigabytes of SkyDrive storage and an hour a month of free Skype.
Okay.
Yeah, and they said you also have the ability to stream your files across the internet or stream the software across the internet. So you can access it from other computers.
I feel like everything they do is so complicated.
Yes.
Probably it's not when you're actually using it. I think that they just don't explain anything very well. Because I always thought Office 365 was the cloud email and Office web apps and SharePoint in the cloud. But I guess now it's merged with Office, maybe. I don't know. It's really confusing.
Maybe it will become clear within the next week by the time we do episode 7.
Okay. We'll have an update for you guys.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. So this is, I guess that wasn't my only launch because Quora also launched their new blogging platform. If you don't know, do you use Quora at all?
I do occasionally, not often enough.
Yeah. I am an intermittent user of Quora, although they have really fun answers to sort of like questions that you'd never get answered otherwise. Like, what is it like to spend time in jail after you've killed someone? Like, they'll have a prisoner will answer that question. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, people do have very thoughtful answers on Quora, actually, as opposed to Yahoo answers or
right. And I think the upvoting system really works because you really do get great answers at the top. And anyway, so yeah, I love that feature, which used to be Quora's really only feature. But they're launching this blogging platform, which basically is they're billing it as a place to get found for no effort. They say your blog will be discovered quickly without you having to do any work besides writing. It's great for people who don't have a big established online presence already and don't want to do the time-intensive heavy lifting of marketing their blog and slowly building an audience. But I don't think that's really possible. Because
how are they doing that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're assuming that blogging
tagging it for you, and
but I don't even know if everyone is answering questions. I feel like on Quora already the good questions rise to the top, or the good answers rather.
Right.
I feel like they're assuming that the reason people aren't getting found is a platform issue, when really it's if you write good stuff, people will find it.
Yeah.
And it does take time usually, unless you're already kind of famous.
Right. And if you have focused topics, I feel you'll rise to the top in that niche market. But
right. And also the other thing that seemed weird to me is Quora filled this need of questions, like answering questions that people couldn't get answered otherwise, and answering them really well. But like blogging is a proactive thing. You're not answering necessarily a question that someone's asked you. So I just don't think it's like part of. It doesn't really fit into me with what Quora is.
Agreed.
So, I don't know. Most of the coverage of it was positive, but it didn't sit well with me. We'll see. Maybe it'll.
It doesn't
great.
seem to connect, and I don't know how they are going to follow through on their promise of having your blog discovered quickly.
Right. I don't either.
Yeah. The last story I had was an acquisition story. So OpenTable bought Food Spotting for $10 million, which is
nice.
Pretty exciting. So Food Spotting is an application where you find places or restaurants based off of pictures. So it's very visual. Like users submit photos of different food items that they've had at different places, and so that's kind of the way that you pick your restaurant, as opposed to like going through Yelp and searching for the types of food. This will have like the pictures of food within your area. So like me, if you're a very visual person and that helps you decide, it's really advantageous.
And it's like users taking those photos, so they're not like restaurant quality photos. They're like real thing.
Right. So you really get an idea of what you're getting. And so, and OpenTable is an application where you can reserve a table at a restaurant in advance and without having to call or do any of that. Spotting had already, they're based in San Fran, they already had relations with OpenTable, so they had already incorporated OpenTable where you had the option to reserve a restaurant after you saw the picture. If you're like, oh, hey, that looks good, you had the option to reserve it through OpenTable. So now they're just more
formally
yeah.
Cool. Well, that seems like a smart partnership. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I guess just the app of the week, which is pretty cool as well. It's from this company called. It got cropped off. I think it's Rock. Is it Rock Pop Factory? Hot Pop Factory. Hot Pop Factory. And what they are making is a 3D. Well, obviously, they have a 3D printer, and they're doing Pez dispensers with your head on it. They use an Xbox Connect to scan your head, and then they use their 3D printer to churn out the final product. And that sounds really amazing, and made me want to go. Yeah, I want one too. I will confess.
Connect is that technology is.
I know it does everything
so well, and inspiring so many different like research and applications.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my awesome app of the week. It's not really an app, but it's a cool application of technology. And
so you're going to get one and then show us next week.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes, but I'm definitely going to get one. I was also one of the kids that never bothered to put the candy in the dispenser. I always just ate it.
Faster.
Yeah. But this time, maybe I'll make an exception. Yeah, that's all I have for this week.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Well, thank you, all of you who stuck around, and we will see you next week with some pressing updates to our lengthy stories. Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.